What's going on, guys? It is Clint Eiland with the weekly Nole Instant Reaction Podcast. Tonight, we're going to be going over FSU beating Wake Forest 38-17, putting a clinic on both sides of the ball. A really good win by Florida State. It's just going to be me tonight. No Mike Ferguson joining me for this recap, but it doesn't really matter because we kind of all saw what happened with this game and what Florida State looked good doing. So we're not going to spend too much time on this one, but still going to give you some solid observations, some notes on what you just witnessed and what FSU can take away for the rest of the season from this game. So general overview, Florida State beats Wake Forest 38-17, and really it wasn't that close of a final score, or it wasn't as close of a game as the final score indicates, because really it turned into garbage time by the fourth quarter. Florida State went up 38-10 after being down 10-0. And really they looked like the better team for most of this game. Wake Forest got a late touchdown and they kind of moved the ball a bit, so the final yardage is kind of skewed. But even with that, with those asterisks, Florida State pretty much still dominated this game statistically. Total yards, Florida State 485, Wake Forest 369, yards per play, Florida State 6.9, that is fantastic, and Wake Forest 3.5, really just up and down the board. Florida State looked great. So I think everyone's kind of wondering about that beginning, right? Florida State comes out, or Wake Forest at least comes out on the first drive. They're on offense, and they just move the ball down the field. Florida State's linebackers are just caught sleeping. The secondary is playing off their man, and it doesn't look good. Wake Forest scores a field goal. Florida State offense comes out, 3-and-out. Wake Forest comes out, another, kind of defensive series punts. Florida State, 3-and-out. Wake Forest comes back down and scores, same deal. Middle of the field's just wide open. They're just getting anything they want there. Florida State's having a lot of trouble adjusting, and it looks like it's bad for Florida State. Those flashbacks of 2006 start ringing out throughout the stadium and every FSU fan's mind because it just looks like Florida State's about to totally have a letdown after the bye week and after the Miami loss. They completely turn it around after that, right? 10-0 Wake leads. Wake Forest did not score until the fourth quarter after letting 38 points go unanswered. How did they do that? And why? How did this offense look that bad to begin? Again, you can kind of attribute this to Francois, and we're not trying to pick on a guy because he had a great game tonight. We're going to get into that, but Francois had an awful start. He was missing open receivers, made a couple bad reads again, and the offensive line, once again, what you're getting with them. They just didn't look good. This offense came out, and they just, they weren't playing their game. They were trying to play tempo, but it wasn't working. What really helped, at least in my mind, I think, once they got the ball and they started moving tempo again, and once his line gave him enough time to really make decisions and to not get a defender in his face every 10 seconds, not 10 seconds, that'd be amazing, every, 2 seconds, this offense just bloomed. It blossomed, and it just looked very, very what we were expecting, right? Especially against Wake Forest. Wake Forest is not a good defensive team. They just aren't. They already fired their defensive coordinator a few games ago. It was against Notre Dame when they fired him. So Florida State really had no excuses to not put up a lot of yards and a lot of points tonight. Some notes. The receivers today played very well. There's one play by Keith Gavin that a lot of people are going to think back on, and it was the play where he had a touchdown going down the left sideline, and then he lets the defender get up right beside him, just total lack of awareness, forces the fumble, goes into the end zone, touchback, and then everyone starts, the meltdown again because Florida State needed that. But then Wake Forest throws an interception very shortly after, so it didn't matter. But overall, the wide receivers this game played very well. Even Naquan Murray, who has those good and bad streaks, and had a bad streak against Miami, comes back and he has a good streak against Wake Forest. He had some good yards. He had some very good plays. Murray finished actually as the leading receiver, 131 yards, 1 touchdown, 8 receptions. That's Naquan Murray that we're kind of used to seeing. if he can put it together more consistently, then he's going to have a very nice end to the year at least, because he's done well against Clemson and whatnot in the past few years. But today, I think you got to give it to the receivers. DJ Matthews played well. Trayshawn Harrison had a amazing touchdown. I mean, he's the future of that position, no doubt. I think he might be a starter by the end of the year, at least if he keeps playing like this. He's a very talented player. Other guys, Tamorrion Terry, he was pretty quiet tonight. He almost had an amazing touchdown grab that was called back by a Jawan Williams hold. But other than that, once this offense started giving Francois some time, you saw him become a better player. And we knew that coming in. We're hard on the kid, but we have to give credit where it's due. And Francois he just turned it on for this game. 353 yards, 2 touchdowns. What else is there to say? I mean, he still can make a lot of good reads on the read option, but you already know that's what he's going to do, and you know what you're getting with him. Now, if Florida State comes out and looks like that against Clemson or Notre Dame, maybe even NC State, no, it's not going to be good. They're not going to have those 38 unanswered points. But overall, you have to think that the coaching staff understands, got to come out earlier, got to come out firing, can't let good teams get ahead. Beneficial for them is that Wake Forest isn't really a good team. A really good performance for Cam Akers. He didn't break the 100-yard mark. He actually finished 2 yards short, 98 yards. But he had 2 touchdowns, and he had a long 58-yard rushing touchdown. And just from a mental aspect, that's huge. There's all those BS rumors of, Cam Akers isn't happy, he's going to be transferring to Ole Miss. It's garbage. It's completely garbage. But a game like this can really do wonders for your psyche. Because if you've been playing all season, your offensive line has not helped you out at all, and then all of a sudden you go out against Wake Forest and you have these fantastic, you have 2 touchdowns and some great plays. I mean, that can do wonders for you. I think we're going to see a better Cam Akers from here on out. It looked like he played better today. It looked like he was more patient. And I think overall, that's kind of the bounce back you need, especially when you can't run the ball that often. And in the first half, they really struggled, but as they came out in the second half, they looked a lot better in that respect. So that was some good improvement by the offense. And it was good play calls by the coach, too. Give credit to Taggart. Very good rebound. Defense, kind of the same thing. I think people are wondering how that defense started that bad, how Wake Forest was moving the ball with Sam Hartman, how tempo was just killing the Noles. From what I saw, and I'd have to review the film, but from what I saw, it had to do a lot with Florida State, 1, not getting pressure with the defensive line, and 2, their cornerbacks were playing off Wake Forest receivers. And once one started to occur, right, like once Brian Burns started getting pressure, once Marvin Wilson and DeMarcus Christmas really started to control that interior, you saw Sam Hartman get flustered. True freshman QB, have to do that. And once he didn't have that time to stay in the pocket, it really helps out the cornerbacks. It really gives them enough time to look over what they're doing wrong, to go over and talk to Barnett, see what's going on, what they're seeing from the field, and correct their mistakes. I don't think there were that many coaching adjustments in this one from the defensive perspective. I think there may have been a little bit more emphasis on press coverage and a little, another shift away from zone. But overall, they turned in a masterful defensive performance. Looking at, so 369 yards. That final Wake Forest drive basically did nothing for you. 75 yards was the stat for that one. So if we go to game. Yeah, so I mean, under 300 yards for a team that ran 100 plays. 104 plays is actually the exact number. That's really good. That's one of those areas where you're going to see the raw stats and you're going to say, oh man, the FSU defense didn't show up. No, they did. Wake Forest just ran 104 plays, so naturally they were going to get that much yardage. I think the defense overall, even if they had a little bit of luck on the turnovers, I mean, they forced Wake Forest to go to different QB. That's as much of a uncle sign as you as you can get in college football when you force the best quarterback to go to the sideline. Other notes: offensive line still struggling. They're better in pass protection. They really are. I mean, they have turned a bit of a corner with that one. I'm not going to say that they're good in pass protection because they're not, but they're giving Francois enough time again on certain drives to make things happen. Against Wake Forest, that'll do. Against Miami, as we saw, no, it's not going to do. But, encouraging performance. You really hope that Brady Scott's injury is just a one-game injury, that he can come back and play fully healthy. He played in the second half of the game, so it wasn't a bad sign. But overall, that you're one injury away from doomsday, right? You had to play Jawan Williams in this game, and on his first play, he causes a holding, which takes back a touchdown. I mean, you don't want to play him at all. So you got to keep Brady Scott in there. You got to keep the other guys like Derek Kelly going, and you just kind of got to hope that they gel. You really can't afford any injuries, so you're just stuck in that limbo of work with what we got. Landon Dixon's not coming back, so might as well. Overall, 38-17. Don't discredit this win. And Wake Forest is not a good team. They're an average, maybe subpar team. But for this Florida State squad to finally have a game where they can put the backups in, where they can play a fourth quarter without the fear of giving up a lead, I mean, that's a sign of growth. Especially when you go down 10-0 and you look sluggish, right? So don't act like this win's not big. It's not big in terms of, it's a great opponent, but look, you're 2 games closer to bowl eligibility now, or you're a game closer at least. You need 2 more for bowl eligibility, and you did what you were supposed to do. Wake Forest is no juggernaut, but if you had lost to them, your season's over. Now you beat them by a fair amount. You controlled that game, and you kind of got some reps for guys that usually may not get them. You got some in-game experience again for your starters, making them gel a little more. That was a big thing today, was less mental mistakes. There were still a couple. There were still some illegal formation penalties. But overall, this team didn't have that many dumb mistakes. They didn't have those dumb, oh my gosh, what are you doing? No blown coverages that I could think of at least. There was maybe a couple, but nothing egregious. Really, I mean, that's all you can ask for, especially against Wake Forest. Now, the next game, if I'm not mistaken, it is Clemson. Yeah, it's Clemson next week. I guess we'll do this in the article, so I'm not going to give too much of a prediction now, but your defense is going to keep you into it, I would think, because I think your defensive line is going to be able to get to Trevor Lawrence. I think you're going to play with much more intensity to start the game than you did against Wake Forest. Your offense, I'm not expecting Francois to throw for 300 yards. I'm not expecting anybody to have a really good game there. But you have a win now. You have a good barometer for what you can be this season. Even if you're not going to be up to your standard, you have a good floor for what you can be. And really, it's mental. They might come out and they might shock the world next week. I doubt it, but the first step in doing that is beating Wake Forest, having good games from Cam Akers, DeAndre Francois, all those guys, and just reminding your playmakers that this is what it's supposed to be like, and this is what you're supposed to play like. It's a blowout, and it's that simple. It's a good blowout for the team, and a good mental reminder for the squad. That's going to be all I have for tonight, guys. Thank you for tuning in to our Instant Reaction podcast. Before we go, we'd like to give a word to our 2 sponsors, NoleFan.org and Southern Solutions LLC. Those guys have been with us for a long time now, and you know how much we recommend them, how much we love their business. So without further ado, since Mike's not here, adios, guys. Have a good night, and enjoy this win before Clemson next week.